Now, we'll turn to requirements for principals once a staff reports. After a report is submitted, the principal must provide a written acknowledgement of the receipt of the report on the Safe Schools Incident Reporting Form Part 2 to the employee who reported. Information that could identify the student or students involved must not be part of the acknowledgement. Identify if action has been taken or no action is required. Possible actions taken can include anything on the progressive discipline continuum, for example, a warning, contacting parents, removal of privileges, or suspension. Once again, the Safe Schools Incident Reporting Form Part 2 is simple and easy for principals to acknowledge receipt of a report. This paper acknowledgement does not replace a conversation between the employee and the principal. Principals and employees are encouraged to talk about the incidents regardless of the actions taken. The purpose of reporting is to ensure that the principal is aware of all student behavior that must be considered for suspension or expulsion. Another new requirement for principals is to disclose information to parents or guardians of victims. The Education Act requires principals to inform parents or guardians of students who have been harmed as a result of any incident for which suspension or expulsion must be considered. This amendment does not allow a principal to notify a parent or guardian of a student who is 18 years or older, or is 16 or 17 years old and has withdrawn from parental control. This does not prohibit the principals from contacting parents or guardians if the student gives consent. Principals are not permitted to inform the parents of a victim when, in the principal's opinion, doing so would put the victim at risk of harm from the parent. For example, during an investigation of an incident of homophobic bullying, a student discloses to the principal that he is gay and that he has not shared and is not ready to share this information about his sexual orientation with his parents. He says that if his parents are told, they will force him to leave home. He says he would rather commit suicide than face his parents on this issue. If the principal makes the decision not to notify the parents or guardians of a victim, the principal must document the rationale for the decision not to notify the parent or guardian of a pupil, inform the appropriate supervisory officer of this decision, inform the teacher of the decision if a teacher reported the harm to the principal, and inform other board employees of the decision not to notify a parent or guardian of the pupil if they determine it is appropriate to do so. Now we'll see a scenario that involves possible expulsion for an off-property incident, reporting to the principal, and disclosing information to parents.
Where is she? Why won't she answer my calls?
Why would she? She's so over you. Can't believe you did that.
Were you at the party last night? No, so don't talk about what you don't know.
We didn't have to be there. We've talked to Katie and we've seen the marks on her.
You heard her, Philip. You should have stopped when she said no.
Boyfriends aren't supposed to leave bruises.
Tell her to call me back.
Forget it.
It was really disturbing.
Well, she's been absent for 3 days with the flu.
Based on what I just told you, I don't think she has the flu.
You know, this really does shine a new light on the situation. I think I'm going to have to investigate this further.
An investigation proves the caretaker's suspicions to be correct. Philip has been suspended pending an expulsion hearing. Katie is receiving support.
Good evening, Miss Clark. This is the principal at Katie's school calling. I'd like to speak with you about a serious incident related to her recent absences.
What must be disclosed to parents has been clearly defined. When notifying the parents or guardians of a victim, the Education Act requires a principal to disclose the following: the nature of the incident that resulted in harm to the student, the nature of the harm to the student, and the steps taken to protect the student's safety, including the nature of any discipline in response to the incident. Principals must not share the name of the aggressor or any other identifying or personal information with the parent of the victim beyond what is listed above. For example, a principal may share that the aggressor received a suspension or that the aggressor's parents have been called, but may not share information regarding a referral to counseling or any other personal information. Which student behaviors require a response? The ministry now requires employees of a board who work directly with children and who observe a student behaving in a way that is likely to have a negative impact on school climate to respond to the behavior. These behaviors include racist, sexual, sexist, or homophobic comments, slurs, and jokes or graffiti, as well as activities for which suspension and expulsion must be considered. Who must respond? This requirement applies to all board employees who work directly with students. This includes, but is not limited to, teachers, support staff in social work, child and youth work, psychology, and related areas, as well as educational assistants. What does responding look like? Responding may include asking a student to stop the inappropriate behavior, naming the type of behavior and explaining why it is inappropriate and/or disrespectful, and asking the student for a change in future behavior. For an example of an effective board practice, see How to Handle Harassment in the Hallways in 3 minutes from the Toronto District School Board in the Resources section. Let's look at an example of responding.
Oh, nice shot. Let's go.
Ew! What was that? Seriously, what was that? You shoot like a retard.
You're the retard.
You know you're the retard. You are the retard.
You talk like a retard.
Well, you're the retard.
You look like a retard.
You're the retard.
You walk like a retard.
Retard.
You play like a retard.
Retard.
Your face is a retard.
You're a retard. Period. You are the retard.
You look like a retard.
Well, you are the retard.
You talk like a retard.
Well, you're the retard.
You walk like a retard.
Boys, can you stop with the name calling? The last time I checked, that was never a nice thing to say to anyone. It certainly doesn't fit with our school's code of conduct. Imagine how you would feel if you or someone close to you was developmentally delayed and you heard that kind of talk.
Well, we're just joking around. We don't really mean it.
We don't joke around like that at this school. Next time, try to think a bit more before you say something that can hurt people. See you tomorrow, boys. And Aaron, remember, it's all in the wrist.
Thank you.
What are the exceptions? Board employees are not required to respond if responding would, in the employee's opinion, cause immediate physical harm to himself or herself or to that of a student or another person. For example, a staff member working with a special needs student may not respond if doing so would mean leaving the student unattended, potentially placing them in immediate physical danger. However, board employees are expected to verbally inform the principal as soon as possible if they do not immediately respond. There are many new things to consider and discuss. We'll look at what the new legislation has to say about supporting students, then move on to some more live scenarios to illustrate and help us understand these new requirements.